Hello, everyone. Chelsea here from Labels and Labeling Magazine again. I am really excited for today's interview because I think we have a really timely topic given that everyone is talking about the spread of COVID-19. And we're seeing a lot of that conversation that is focusing on what can be done to stop the spread of bacteria. Many of our label converter friends know hand sanitizer labels are super hot right now, but there's also another interesting development underway in surface materials. So I'm here today with Filip Sarka. He's the regional manager for North America at Taghleef Industries, and Filip manages the graphics arts business, and he's going to talk to us about Taghleef Industries' Bacterstop material. So Filip, thanks for joining me today.
Well, Chelsea, thank you for having me.
Of course. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about what is Bacterstop.
So, Bacterstop is a laminating film or a plastic film that has antimicrobial properties built in. So, in other words, it acts as a protection against all the bacteria or some of the molds and fungi that could potentially enter in contact with the film surface.
So tell us, how does it work?
So, so basically, these days, everybody is worried about, being contact exposed to bacteria, viruses. We have a coronavirus pandemic, and so it looks like there is a general demand from the market for higher hygiene standards overall, right? So how this works would be, the whatever type of bacteria would enter in a contact with a film surface, the antimicrobial agent that's built in the film surface would immediately start acting with the bacteria and microbes or microorganisms, and would basically prevent them from reproduction, replication, and growth.
So tell us a little bit. I mean, I can see so many applications for this, but what are some of the applications that you're seeing this being used in?
So we initially launched this for graphic applications, for graphic market. However, we are seeing recently very positive response also from the label market. When it comes to those graphic applications, the typical applications we're experiencing a high demand from right now are safety cards for airplanes, promotional materials, just because they have to be, touched by a lot of different individuals or groups of people. Then materials for hospitals or menus for the restaurants. Obviously, because these will be handed out, and I'm sure as the restaurants get back to opening, there's going to be a lot of demand. I'm sure certain part of the market will be able to convert to using antibacterial material. I'm expecting this to become a new standard in the graphic arts industry. When it comes to the label applications, we could talk about either paper-based labels or plastic-based labels, and it could be anything, narrow web, wide web. We are seeing a lot of interest from the pressure sensitive label market, but it could be also used for the wraparound labels, if you know.
Yeah. Interesting. So is it a coating that goes on the film, or explain a little bit more about the actual?
Okay, so that's a great question. Thank you very much for that. It's not a coating, and this is why I believe this application is or this film is so unique. Just because you could achieve the same property via coating. The problem is that's gonna have a limited shelf life, number one, and number two, you will not be able to clean the surfaces using chemical products, because there's going to be a high chance of actually for that coating to start partially or entirely coming off the surface. So in other words, those chemicals that are used, let's say imagine a menu, right? Somebody wants to clean a menu, and the typical chemicals that you use, if there is a coating, that coating has a very high chance and very high risk of coming off or starting to come off. Now, In our case, the application we are launching has the antimicrobial agent extruded in the base film. So in other words, what this means is that it's totally resistant to cleaning. You can clean it as many times as you want. We can guarantee the shelf life of the film for the entire shelf life of the product that the film is meant to be used for. And the film, it doesn't wear off, it doesn't wear out, it doesn't leach off. So we believe this is a perfect solution.
Yeah, interesting. So what about the actual process of printing it? Is there any technical considerations that people need to keep in mind, or is it just print as normal?
Okay, so yeah, so this is a little bit trickier here because you know we typically do not recommend printing on top of the film. The reason is, whatever layer would enter in the contact with the film surface, whether it's an ink or a coating, it could inhibit the antimicrobial agent to do its job. So if you see a value, or if somebody as a customer or an end user decides to pay for an added benefit of having a guaranteed antimicrobial protection on the surface, we believe it is not really wise to cover larger or even smaller areas with anything or the things like coatings or inks. So it's not that you could not do it. You could print on top of the film, probably not on the clear, but certainly on the matte film. You could print. However, the question is, and the question every customer needs to answer himself is whether or not that's really needed, or whether it would be better to use the Bacterstop as a final top layer to protect the ink and to protect the print. So in other words, you would have a basic substrate, you would have an ink on top of it, and ideally you would put Bacterstop on top of it to protect the ink, because that way you really get the most benefit out of the product that you're paying for.
Yeah, you get full protection of the
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. So talk a little bit about go back to maybe some of the viruses or bacteria. Talk a little bit about the difference between, is it antiviral, antibacterial, and what are some of the bacteria that it is repelling?
So right now we cannot certify antiviral properties. We know the agent does have effects against some viruses as well, but this is not something we can certify these days. However, we are looking at the possibility of also coming up with a formula for the future that would have antiviral properties. We are not sure whether this is possible or not. This is kind of still in the R&D stage. But what we can certify today is definitely elimination of 99.9% of the bacteria that enter in contact with the film surface. That's what we can guarantee these days. And the added benefit, I'm not sure if this would be of a value for somebody in the marketplace, but the added benefit definitely would be the fact that this formula proves to be effective also against antibiotic resistant bacteria.
Interesting. So it wouldn't necessarily work on the COVID-19 virus, but everyone is talking about the spread of bacteria and how to control it. So this seems like, a really interesting solution for that. Is there anything else about this that maybe our people who are watching would need to know or be interested in learning about?
So think about it this way, Chelsea. You've got look at the standards everybody's applying. So there is a brutal amount of prevention these days going on in the marketplace. Everybody look at how people reacted. The COVID-19 pandemic started. There were no hand sanitizing gels available where in the stores. People bought them out. Do they kill COVID-19? They don't, right? But do they increase our prevention level? They do, and we believe they do. That's why we use them. You hear from all the places doctors tell you, wash your hands, wear masks, protect your face, do this, do that. None of that specifically kills COVID-19, right? But we do that because it does increase our prevention level or our exposure to potentially being attacked by bacteria or viruses. So what we are saying to the market, hey, guys, go with the flow, increase your protection. We're having an excellent solution to do that. It's a product that has a almost unlimited shelf life. We guarantee 5 years for the usage of the antimicrobial property. And can we promise it will kill COVID-19? We can't, but can we guarantee it will increase the overall hygiene standard and protection? Absolutely, yes.
Interesting. And now have you seen a lot more interest from the label market since the COVID-19?
Yes. So we actually, and I'm not sure if I should mention that, but we introduced this film a while ago. We had this film developed since 20, and I do not recall exactly, but I believe it was 2015, 2016. I would have to guess. And the film was born as a response to E. coli epidemic in Europe back in the time. And so as we launched this solution, we brought it to the States as well. And I know the TI sales team tried to offer it to the label market, but we didn't see much of a response back then. However, these days, because of different circumstances in the market, we are seeing a lot more traction. And as a matter of fact, our leading salesperson who deals with who is specialized in the graphic arts, but deals with label applications as well. He, in cooperation with our R&D team, they're developing specific overlay for the label market right now with the Bacterstop properties.
Interesting. So this is commercially available at this point.
Yes. Okay, so the product is commercially available. We have the first master rolls on the container that I expect to be here in the country towards the end of month. So any graphic arts customer of ours will be in a position to place an order and have this available, following our standard lead time patterns. The specific one for the label market that we're talking about, that one is in development. We could offer these days, if somebody wanted desperately have a solution immediately, we can offer a possibility in the meantime to have the graphic film version to be applied to the label as well, because that's technically possible. However, the specific label version we expect to be produced sometime next month and could be readily available here in the States in July.
In July. Great. Interesting. Well, I just think, as the world starts to open back up, this is just one more tool in the toolbox as everyone's kind of thinking about sanitizing and watching the spread of bacteria and trying to prevent it as much as possible. So I was really excited to talk with you today, Filip. I really appreciate you joining me. Well, thank you so much, Filip, for chatting with me today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.